direct response to live happenings,
just need to see what's going on.
factual content, as truthful reporting is at the heart of our responsibility. This is the site of where the building collapse happened at about 4-5 yesterday evening. I am Bettina Unwili. This is News Central.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every raise, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
What do you...
Thanks for staying with us on Jasiri. Now, before we went on a break, we talked about two ladies who have been trending. Unfortunately, one of them not for such a good reason. And we're talking about the issue of Betta Edu. I'm sure you've heard the story, and if you haven't, we're going to give you a backstory in the course of the conversation. But the major thing now is the president, Bola Tinubu, has called for a probe into the transfer of about 585 million naira, if I'm not mistaken, $500 million naira in this economy to a private account. Now, over the few days that we've had this conversation, you know, Betta has come out to say that it is not exactly constitutionally wrong to transfer money from a government account to a private account, but people are saying, according to the Constitution, I think the Act 2019 Act that says that it is not right, whether having money transferred from a government account to a private account or from a private account to a government account, because what business do they have together? But anyways, the president has called for a probe. And, you know, in the midst of all of this, the president was at some point, you know, his name was roped in where they said that he, you know, gave the approval, a leaked memo that showed that the Minister of Humanitarian Affairs and Poverty Alleviation purportedly wrote to the Accountant General of the Federation asking that that amount of money be paid to the private account. Now, Dr. Betty Edu also finds herself in the midst of a scandal that has led to the president, like I said earlier, ordering a probe into the situation. Now, her request was contained in a letter dated December 20, 2023, and she did explain that the payment was meant for migrants, or grants rather, to vulnerable groups in Akwa Ibom, in Cross River, in Ogun State, and of course Lagos State. That's those people who are not doing so well. And the Accountant General of the Federation, Dr. Oluwatoyin, has denied honoring the reported payment request. Now, I also do remember that there was a time where Betta did say that these people in this vulnerable states and in, you know, remote areas that do not have access to accounts will have accounts opened for them so that the money can be transferred from the government account to their account. So the question is, where is the mix-up coming from? Why then the sudden change of mind that the money was now transferred to a private account for disbursement? Anyways, we're going to have this conversation. And to join us have this conversation, we have someone in the house, the chairman, Accountability, Candor, and Transparency. I'm talking about none other than Mr. Segun Shokpito. First of all, I'd say Happy New Year. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Blessings.
And I think he deserves a round of applause. Is that official?
I am delighted. You know, it's on record.
Yes.
I mean,
no one can trump that.
Nobody can take this from me.
In an era where people are breaking world records, I think we should give you
this is my own record.
So, Segun, let's start this because it's a really dicey situation now. This is another person yet that the president is having to somehow probe. So recently he suspended Halima Shea, who is the chief executive officer of the National Social Investment Program Agency, also over alleged financial malfeasance. How much of a test of the president's leadership and also his tolerance for misconduct is this current situation involving Dr. Betty Edu?
Well, I mean, look, all eyes will be on the president, on this case and a number of others. And there are a few others that are still festering. The public is going to be looking to see how the president is going to handle this. Especially, if you, some of this conversation, we shouldn't run away from them. If you think about the run-up to the elections, we're still, the elections are not that far away, still just less than a year ago. And all of the things that were said about the antecedents of the president. The jury is still out on him with regards to his tolerance for corruption, and in fact, even him as a person, we all know we're regaled by all of the things that happened during the petitions at the tribunals, his certificate, all of these things are still out there. So people are watching to see what will the president do with regards to this. So I think it's very good that he has responded so quickly. For me, I'm happy about that because, he's the president of Nigeria. You like him, you don't like him, he's our president. And it's important that that office is conducted in a particular way. The former president was reputed, you remember that meme with the toothpick. This type of thing happens, the man is just silent. So I like the fact that the president has spoken and he has called for a probe. And in that statement, they've also promised that if anybody is found wanting or whoever is culpable, they will be, held responsible. So I think that's a fantastic thing. And then we've also heard that on the back of this and a couple of other little scandals here and there that we've had since his new cabinet has been installed, that there might be a cabinet reshuffle. So I think that's a good thing.
For the president, one of the things that a lot of people talk about him before he got into presidency, the fact that he has a knack for choosing the right hands for the right things. But in this particular administration, we're being seeing a lot of loopholes. Would you say that this is going to affect his own credibility about his choice? Because there have been a lot of speculations about his capacity at the moment, because a lot of people allegedly feel that he is not at his best physically. So would you say the choosing of his cabinet is impaired? Or would there be a slight, he has given the rights for others to choose for him?
Yeah, it's politics. And I think that a lot of times when we talk about these things, when people were campaigning for the president and speaking about all his antecedents, what he did in Lagos, the type of cabinet he had, I always used to tell people, the federal government is different from Lagos. So I have, friends in places in the corridors of power in Abuja who told me, that this list is not the president's list. This, and it's not surprising. This is really it's not something that we should take as though it's some sort of secret or whatever.
And it's not unusual.
It's not unusual because, yes, absolutely, because at the end of the day, it's the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria that consists of 36 states and the FCT, with all of the interests, religious, tribal, regional, all of that coming together, and all must be satisfied. All of those people that helped him get into office must be satisfied. So there is that. The other thing, though, regarding what you said, Lolo, is the president that we have today is not the governor that we had 23 years ago. People always forget.
I almost need a clap offering.
People always forget this. Things have changed.
Yes.
Nigeria has evolved. The man has, he's been through a lot. He's not the same person. He can't be the person he was 23 years or 15, 16 years ago. So what we're seeing today is the reality of who the man, Bola Ahmed Tinubu, is today. So the appointments that he has made, for example, there are a couple of names on that list that, honestly, they call a lot of questions.
Right.
Atiku Bagudu, for example. We know the stories about this man and his links with the Abacha and all of the monies, and yet he is a minister for budget and national planning.
Very sensitive.
Very crucial and sensitive portfolio. So, that kind of appointment, you look back and say, what's going on here? What happened to the Bola Ahmed Tinubu that, appointed this great brains and all that, And we've also seen a couple of others. Another example that I like to give, is a woman. So sorry, I know you guys.
Go ahead.
We're heading there because I have a question.
We have to talk about these things. The lady in the Ministry of Women Affairs.
Oh, Kennedy.
Yeah, the Oju Kennedy.
Yes.
The lady just gives me all sorts of vibes when she talks. That office is so powerful. There's so much that can be done with that office. But the kind of things that the lady talks about every time she has the public platform, I'm sorry, it's like she's just punching so far below the potential of her role and what she could achieve. And, the lack of polish and all that is a bit concerning.
So I think we should take a look at these ministries, for example. Let's spotlight this ministry for human affairs.
Yeah.
Aside from what the minister just did, a lot of people are now calling that ministry be scrapped. Because let's take a look at it, right? Every time that we hear that some displaced persons somewhere are entitled to an amount of money and then the money is disbursed or allegedly disbursed, we don't hear anything, following up. And then this one has also come up where these people in these remote areas have been promised, this amount of money, and now we're hearing that it was sent to a private account. So it's like people are saying there are speculations that every single time that money is being allocated to a particular region, it's an avenue to loot the money or squander the money or just send it into another account, because nobody actually keeps account of who is promised what and who gets what. Because at the end of the day, if you call all the people that have been promised things, over the years, we don't see a substantial amount of persons coming out to say, oh yes, I was promised this and I got it. So people are saying that, what is the need? If they're going to be promised and then they don't get what they're promised, then there's no point for the ministry at all. That they do not exactly blame the ministers, because even the one before her also had like some questionable, things that was supposed to happen and didn't happen. So what is your thought on scrapping the ministry entirely? And if that is done, then how do we take care of these people? And where does accountability come in all of this?
There are a lot of ministries that I think should be scrapped. First of all, Nigeria is at a point now where government's business should be run in a frugal manner. We really have to talk about these things, But instead, the president has gone in the opposite direction and has created multiple more ministries than we had before he came, and including this one. So this one existed before him, but then he ramped it up and gave a bit more energy and verve to it. Before this administration, this ministry was an office in the vice president's office. It was the social investment program. It was under the vice president, former vice president, Yemi Oshibajo. In the second term of President Buhari, they then made a ministry out of it and appointed Umar Sadiq Shadi, I think that's her name. So it's been tested and proven that this ministry can run as a department. In any parastatal, you really need a full-blown minister just to run a social register. Let's be honest, that's all they're really supposed to be about, So when you give the powers of a minister to an office like this, what you create is an avenue, because the minister has absolute purview and oversight over her ministry. For example, the Office of the Accountant General has now denied having approved the release of these funds. And she said something that I found instructive, that all of these ministries are self-reporting, regulating agencies in terms of their certain payments up until certain levels. So they did not need the AGF's office
to go to the AGF
for approval or payment of these monies. So, you have a minister in this role, she can do and undo to a certain level. And I think that's what we saw. So we found, for example, that there are allegations that the ministry was used to fund campaigns in Kogi, in Bayelsa, and what was the other off-cycle election that we just had, in November. There were payments that were made that, were found to be very bogus, and the allegation is that they were used to fund elections. So those types of things are inevitable if you create a ministry out of something that maybe should just be an office in somebody's department.
Exactly. All right, Shagu, unfortunately, because of time, being the first show, we have jammed a lot of conversations in, and we have to let you go. But very quickly, very simple and straightforward answer. President has ordered a probe. Should she resign or should she wait it out?
She should resign if this was a decent society. All apologies to everybody, including myself, but we have not proven ourselves to be decent, and so she'll probably I think she'll be fired. I think the president is looking for scapegoats and examples, and I think she is a perfect one to go with under the circumstances. So, but if you ask me, yes or no, she should resign. It's the honorable thing to do.
The honorable thing to do. And you've just said that we're also not a decent society, so I don't know how much honorability is in this society. All right, we're going to take a quick break right now. As we promised, we're going to talk about businesses and success in 2024. We have a business coach joining us on this very first episode of Jasiri coming up. So make sure you stick around because Coach Nancy is in the building.
Direct response to live happenings. Factual content as truthful reporting is at the heart of our responsibility. This is the site of where the building collapse happened at about 4-5 yesterday evening. I am Bettina Unwili. This is News Central.
Welcome back to Jasiri. Now, as we navigate the evolving landscape of 2024, our next guest is here to guide us through the crucial aspects of structuring your business for success in the dynamic environment that we find ourselves today, a very ever-changing dynamic environment. So joining us now is Nancy Nadi. She's a business structure and finance coach, better known as Coach Nancy. Coach Nancy, welcome to Jasiri. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you for having
and
me.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
I know blessings have to put out.
It's a very, I mean,
Let's
it's
just
very
go
important.
straight to it.
It's 2024.
Coach Nancy, how, because you do a lot of the business trainings for women in particular, what would you say generally about structured businesses in Nigeria? I know we know how to do business, but generally, how would you say business? Would you say that we have very well structured business in Nigeria?
No. So in Nigeria, we have a lot of businesses are not structured. Even sometimes they look structured, but when you go internally, you realize that they are not. Structure has to do with being able to organize your business to run smoothly with or without the CEO involvement. So most SMEs, most small business owners don't have that. Close to 90% of them SMEs, if they are not available, their business cannot operate. So you realize that from January to December, they are just burning out, working. That's why you realize that some of them don't even go for vacation. They don't go for anything. They are the business. They are the one doing it. And as a small business owner, before I even grew, because I started my business like 17 years ago, I realized that one of the major challenges of even businesses not growing financially and otherwise is actually lack of structure. Lack of structure has to do with how you even recruit people. You must understand the level where your business is and the kind of employees that should suit or fit into that business. Based on your income, the available amount you can pay, and also structure helps you break it down to even help you assist the people that are coming to even work with you, to care for them. So I say something like, even when you are creating policies for your business, it must not be self-centered. Yeah. It must be mutually beneficial, whether you're a small business owner or not. There is still a level of you being able to have that mutually beneficial policy or systems or business that run well. You must not have to be that big brand to do that nice thing for any of your staff.
But Coach Nancy, now, I mean, you did say that a business that lacks structure mostly has to do with, when the CEO is not around. But I've realized that even in Nigeria, right, a lot of times the CEO themselves do not know what they're doing.
Or sometimes they're even the problem.
They're even the problem. And I've worked with some people where the owners of the business obviously dabbled into the business, because at the point, I mean, the business is running, but then it gets to a point where they don't know what they want, but they know what they don't want. So it's now a situation of, this is not working, I don't know what we're going to do, fix it. I don't know, I don't have a solution, but everybody just try and fix it.
So sometimes when it comes to the business owner issue, they have a lot of issues. Like if you go through my posts, I will tell them all the times, no matter the lack of structure boils down on the CEO's table. You can't blame your employee for what they are not even divisionaire of. You are the owner of the business. You should know what you want. Then from there, you can now begin to dissect and give people, share the vision with them. They can now know that, okay, you have to be in charge of A, B, and C. But now most CEOs are always afraid of trade secret theft.
Yes.
So, and in my course, I will always tell you, I've been a victim of trade secret theft before. And now I understand that you can also protect your trade secrets.
So very quickly, for those who don't know what trade secret theft is.
So trade secret is just your economic advantage. What can make your staff to just go and start your business the next minute they're out of your
sort of replicating what you're doing.
Replicating, stealing all your ideas, sometimes your recipe, your everything. So how do you ensure that? Because one of the issues business owner has is because they want to protect everything. You can't protect everything. You don't need to protect your sales. You don't need to protect your figures. You just need to identify what is my trade secret. Then hold on to that. Protect it well. Then with that, you will be able to give people the right information to work well. But in a case when you are trying to protect everything, you are going to frustrate your staff.
Okay.
And another part of what you have asked is the fact that a lot of people are still at that level of, I want to be the boss, I want to be the almighty CEO. When you come to structuring your business, you have to be able to relinquish your power. Your manager should share
That's hard power. A lot of
very hard.
Especially sole proprietors.
So we get to a level, even me, I've been there. When I started relinquishing, I was like, this person is coming to act like you are the owner of this business. But if you want, you either choose growth or you choose power. You want to be in control or you want to grow. If you want to continue to be in control, then you'll be limited. But if you want to truly grow and evolve above that level of smallness, then you have to let people come in. Understand that the power is not to make them supersede you. It's just to also share in your vision and make it clearer for other people.
Okay, Coach Nancy, unfortunately, time is not with us. So I have two very quick questions. One, consumer behavior is a major issue for many businesses. And I can tell you as a consumer, I've changed brands because of the cost of things in the market. I've stopped buying certain things because of the cost of things in the market. So how can small businesses in 2024 adjust to changing consumer behavior? And then very quickly, what are your top 3 tips for businesses in 2024 for success?
Okay, so for consumer behavior, you must constantly be on top of watch out for what is the trend. You must constantly be on top of your game for what is happening in the market, what is available, how can I reduce costs, how can I give quality. Not necessarily reducing costs to give less quality product, but giving quality. And sometimes you cannot reduce cost, but how can I give them more? You might even be selling at expensive, but yet your customer service is okay. Some of the reasons why people change brand or decide not to buy from this might just be simple service issue, not following up, wrong attitude, and all of them still boil down to not organizing your business well, which is still structural issue. The CEO has a lot of part to play in this, in ensuring the staff are also okay, and they also understand what is needed for those target audience, your customers. What are we supposed to do for them? A lot of people focus on too many things. Every business, you must just focus on what does my audience need? How do I ensure I give them the best of that thing that they want from us? And customer service is one, and every business in 2004 must understand that there is no game of playing the business as usual, because the social media is there to just call you out any day, anytime. So you must be on top of your customer service, and you must ensure your customers are served well, and you must be on top of your policies to ensure you communicate to your customer the right thing you want them to get, and you're also giving them the supply of the right thing. So that when we come to the table where there are issues, you can say, no, this is what transpired.
Top 3 tips.
So you can always
really 1, 2, 3. We have to go. Okay.
So one of the things I want people to focus on this year is, number one, look at what was not working last year.
Okay.
Do a review, evaluation of your last year, then begin to improve on those things that didn't work well. Then number two, if you're a CEO, understand that one of the major part of structure is also separating your personal finance from your business finance. A lot of business owners keep dipping their hands in their business fund. You must pay yourself salary, and you must watch out. It's a lot of us either underpay or overpay ourselves. So there is a way to ensure you pay yourself the right amount.
And number 3.
And then lastly, don't always forget that visibility is key for your business. And for you to be visible, strategy is very important. You must sit down, plan it, understand what your customer wants, what are you willing to offer, what can you give, and finally, the word structure.
A tip on top.
The final one is every business owner must ensure they are disciplined enough to make their reality come true.
All right, Coach Nancy, thank you so much for joining us. And we'll be having Coach Nancy come back because businesses are the core. Small and medium-sized businesses are the core of driving Nigeria's economy. They contribute about 84% to the GDP and even, of course, employ around 90%, if not more, of Nigerians. So they have a role to play, and we need to ensure they're successful. You're watching Jasiri. When we come back, it's the 1 billion naira conversation. That is it. Nollywood gets its first 1 billion naira movie. Stay with us.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
Welcome back to Jasiri. I hope you have been having a wonderful morning with us with all the great conversations we've had so far. This conversation we're about to have is one that I'm particularly excited about because 1 billion naira, that is the latest figure in town, as A Tribe Called Judah has smashed the box office records, not just in Nigeria, across Africa, becoming the first Nigerian movie to earn 1 billion naira. That's about $1.1 million or about 900,000 pounds at the theaters. The movie is from the Nigerian actor, director, and producer Funke Akindele. And she did this feat in just 3 weeks at the box office. And I would say that is quite remarkable. And joining us today is one of the actors on the set of I almost said Jennifer's Diaries.
We understand.
Yes,
we
A Tribe Called Judah. And we have Toby Makinde with us in the studio. Toby, you're very welcome.
Welcome and congratulations.
I'm sorry, was that my Happy New Year?
Please go ahead. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year.
Oh my God. Toby, how does it feel to be part of the first Nollywood movie to cross $1 billion in 3 weeks?
Record breaking.
Record
breaking.
Excitement. That's how I feel. I'm happy, to be honest. I'm privileged. I thank God. This is a win for Nollywood. It's big. It's a win for Nigeria, and it goes to show that the entertainment industry is, thriving. And I'm happy to be part of this movement. So yeah, definitely, I'm excited. I can start dancing now.
You know what? What I noticed is literally Funke Akindele dominates at the box office.
Yes.
And this year it's been her, Tony Abraham, and Mercy Aigbe.
Yeah.
So what we see, if we bring in AY as well, but it seems to be it's the women.
Yes.
Women directors, women creatives with Nollywood, women like our Lolo.
Women power.
Really bringing that to the fore. And if you watch Funke's trajectory, you can expect it. So 1 billion.
Yes.
I'm assuming it's not going to end there. So
No,
you have
definitely.
January,
It's
you have
actually
December.
1 billion and counting.
And counting because it's still
So
showing.
What do you
probably
think
we hit
about
2 billion.
women's progress in Nollywood?
I feel like, the women are putting in a lot, and the men need to sit up.
I like that.
Men, you need
Louder,
to
please.
sit up. They're bringing in their A game, and they're showing to us that, they are not to be, put at the back seat.
Yeah.
So definitely, we definitely as men need to sit up. The women, they brought in their A game. I mean, this last year, now, we have 3 of the highest grossing movies, Nollywood movies from all women producers. So back to back. And it was the same thing 2022. Yes, it was the same thing, when Battle on Booker Street, a film I co-directed with Auntie Funke as well. It was the same thing. So that the women are really dominating, and I'm happy to see this. They're changing the narrative.
Toby, all right. I want to ask you from a different perspective. Would you say that Nigerians are really telling the real African stories? Because a lot of times when we look at Nollywood generally, we see at a time, it was an influx of copy.
Yes.
Everybody wanted to, make films like some other parts of the world.
Yes.
It's just like I stopped watching Indian films when they moved from traditional to urban.
Yes.
I just do not fancy the stories. If I wanted to see real American films, I would just go straight to America and watch their films.
Yeah.
Would you say that Nigerian producers and directors and everybody in the industry, would you say that we are beginning to tell authentic African stories? Because the Black Book was big too.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's on Netflix. But would you say we are telling authentic African stories?
Our stories.
Our own stories.
Yes, we are. And that is evident in the success, that we've recorded so far. Because now, Nigerians can relate with the kind of stories that we tell. Nigerians can relate with the characters. For instance, A Tribe Called Judah. There are so many characters that Nigerians can relate with. First, from the lead character, Jedida Judah, played by Auntie Funke. There are so many, single mothers, single parents, that are in that, that situation. Yeah. And, you know, the society is quick to judge them, but you don't know what they've been through. You don't know why they're single mothers. You don't know, you know, why they have children for different men. So, yeah, we're beginning to tell authentic stories, and it is evident in the success because now we can relate. So people want to go to the cinema, and rather than see Hollywood movies, they want to see our own movies. And they can, you know, relate with the characters. I mean, for instance, the character I play, a lot of people love it, and I'm amazed, I'm surprised, I'm overwhelmed.
What do you mean? Agbero for me, Agbero is a culture thing.
Yeah, it's
in Africa,
relatable.
The only thing is, if we can just make it well done, let's legitimize what they're doing. Let's put structure to what they're doing. They have their place.
They do.
And I feel...
okay, see, that's the conversation. But they have their place.
This is where I want to like look at this whole thing from, right? I want us to look into the work ethics. I mean, by the way, hats off to Funke Akindele. That a lot of people have been talking about the intentionality in all of this, right?
Yes.
There was, of course, the Battle on Booker Street. In 2021, there was Omogeto, and that was in the heat of the pandemic. So this is not by chance.
No, it's
this
not.
is very strategic, right? And I did, because I'm always very intrigued by the, you know, BTS as opposed to the major movies. So I've seen a lot of, you know, interviews where she granted, and then one of the things she said was, that's answering what Lolo said about telling our own stories. She has said something like, we know how to be Western, but can we tell them that we also know how to be traditional?
Exactly.
And then I also saw in some interviews where she said she played the director, the stylist, the everything, and then the lead character. And even while playing the lead character, she was also looking to you guys to to see if you were truly representing what she wanted. So again, it's about strategy and intention. So I just want you, I mean, Lolo has worked with her, you have worked with her. So I want you to tell us a little about her work ethic. And because a lot of people think, oh, it's just by mistake. No, I mean, track record has shown. So
Auntie Funke is a very hardworking person. She's very intentional about the stories that she tells. You know, she would rather, like you said, would rather tell original African stories that we can relate with, you know, because I mean that's the society we're living in, you know. So she's very intentional, you know, from the scripting. She writes her script herself. From the scripting, she's defining every character and giving them traits that are relatable, you know, things that, and giving them situations, creating scenes that, you know, once you see it, you're like, that has happened to me before, you know, and then, you know, on set, you know, she's like everyone knows, like I say all the time, she's a disciplinarian, you know, and she's always in every department because there's a picture that she's trying to, you know, portray. So she has it in her head. So for every character, there's a certain way she wants them to look. For Shinene, there's a certain way she wants Shinene to look. For Emeka Judah, there's a certain way she wants, you know, Emeka Judah. There's a certain way she wants Olumide Owuru, the last born, Ejiro, you know, to act. You know, there's a certain way she wants him to... The fact that people love him and the love that he has, you know, for his girlfriend, testimony is intentional. I remember because I was part of the scripting process, I remember during the scripting process, she'll be like, put it, add it. Yeah, Ejiro, I love you now. You know I love you. You know, she said, add it. They are going to love it. They're going to love you, people. And everything she said during the scripting, you know, pre-production, while we were filming, everything she said about each scene, saying that this scene is very strong, is very emotional. It was true, because at the cinemas, everyone was like, hey. That's what she intended to achieve. And I thank God that, you know, she did achieve it, because sometimes you might set out to achieve something and then get another result. But, you know, like you said, it's not fluke. She has done it back to back, so she knows the business. And when it comes to marketing, of course,
she has it on lock. So, Toby, that's about Funke Akindele herself. But as you said, you also co-directed one of her films last year.
Yes.
Now you're starring a film with her. Probably also co-directing behind the scenes, as Blessings was talking about. But for you, what's next? When you see this ₦1 billion movie for Nollywood, what kind of ambition does it bring for you?
I mean, it shows that nothing is impossible. And, you know, there's no limitation to our dreams. It shows, I mean, so many filmmakers now know that, oh, yes, I can do it. I can't do it.
No grief for anybody.
No grief.
No grief for anybody. Again. It's
No
1
grief for
billion
anybody.
and counting.
I mean, you'll just be shocked. By next week now, 2 billion. I won't be surprised.
And Nigerians can replicate things.
Oh, yeah. I intend to replicate.
But
Next, who knows, this year you might just be sitting next to a 1 billion.
I love
I don't agree for anybody.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, personally, I have learned a lot from Auntie Funke. Her tenacity, her doggedness. She has, she's been in the game for over 2 decades, and she has been consistent. And she has shown to us that it is possible. So yeah, my dreams are bigger now. Yeah. So even if
your dreams are valid.
They're valid. We really need to go. Time is just not our friend at all. And there's no time to chip in that story that we all wanted to talk
we will get there because that story is still brewing.
Yes.
It's still brewing. If you don't know the story, go and follow us on social media at News Central TV, and you'll have an idea of the story that's brewing. But I want to say a very big thank you to Toby Makinde for joining us, and once again, congratulations on the feat that A Tribe Called Judah is performing. 1 billion, and that it's inspiring a lot of people, creatives in Nollywood, and even across the African continent to see the potential in terms of domestic film production and domestic movies beating foreign movies at the box office. So you get the honor of ending the show with us, which we like to chit-chat. So please, on this note, we're ending. We have some behind-the-scenes, off-record things we want to talk to Toby about. And so that's how we're going to wrap up this very first revamped edition of Jasiri right here on News Central. From me and the ladies and those behind the scenes who've made it possible for us today, thank you so much. God bless and blessings.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. All right, guys, we'll see you guys tomorrow, 10 a.m. Bright and not very early, but bright at 10 a.m. mid-morning time on News Central. Do have a good one. Bye-bye.
Africa needs its own storytellers, people who understand the continent because they're from it. People who know that news is more than just a conversation starter, it's our stories. Because these stories run deeper than headlines and segments. It's about digging deeper to get the facts and telling the human side of every single story, not just the echoes from foreign headlines and perspectives. It's time to take back our narratives and share them in our voices. The birth of Africa's New Age reporting, and this is where it begins, right here at News Central TV, with stories that put Africa first.
It's not just news to us, it's our voice and our story. It's our report, how we tell African stories for Africans. With detailed, timely and authentic reports, News Central is your home for true news and African stories. I am Omolola Ololade. This is News Central.
As reporters, we don't just gather news stories, we experience them daily. So join us on Report Desk Africa as we share these experiences and review the top African stories. Only on News Central.
on the continent, engaging in an analytical report.
Resident doctors in Nigeria commenced a 5-day warning strike. Queues have hit the major cities in Nigeria,
bringing you authentic stories as they happen. I am Adeshewa Olushoga. This is News Central.
To make a difference as a journalist, because when you speak to the situation or the people affected, that's when you get the full story.
And so we go all out. The protest was ongoing and it was peaceful across the plains for real-time stories.
And it was the longest bridge until the 6th of October bridge was completed in Cairo, Egypt.
Knee on knee. This is News Central.
...2023 was a rollercoaster ride for the commodities market, edged with near misses, price standoffs and geopolitical tremors. As we sit in proper into 2024, the question is, where will this unpredictable market head next year? Of course, this year rather. Now, Nigeria's anti-graft agency, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has sent shockwaves through the business community with a surprise raid on the headquarters of the Dangote Group, one of Africa's largest conglomerates, and some other companies also, as part of an ongoing investigation into the allocation of foreign exchange, that is Forex, in the country. And also, Nigeria's real estate sector in 2023 was a story of navigating a sea of change. And the year saw the new government ushering a wave of reforms, presenting both hurdles and opportunities for the industry. What were the highs and lows last year? It's going to be a robust package this morning, a little tweak on Business Edge, and that's what we call it, and we will take you through it. I am Leko Onobanjo. We start by serving you African business stories. In fulfillment of its commitments to eliminating the backlog of pending matured foreign exchange in deposit money banks, the Central Bank of Nigeria recently disbursed approximately $61.64 million to foreign airlines through various banks. This is part of the Apex Bank's efforts to reduce its remaining liabilities to the airlines. This information was confirmed by the acting director of the Corporate Communications Department at the CBN, Hakama Sidi Ali. She further disclosed that in the past 3 months, the CBN has also redeemed outstanding forward liabilities worth almost $2 billion. This, according to her, underscores the bank's commitment to the resolution of pending obligations and a functional foreign exchange market. Libya's National Oil Corporation, NOC, on Sunday declared a force majeure with immediate effect on its Sharara oil field, which can produce up to 300,000 barrels per day due to protests in the area. Libya's oil output has been disrupted repeatedly in the chaotic decade since the 2011 NATO-led uprising against its former leader, Muammar Gaddafi. NOC said in a statement that the Sharara closure has suspended crude oil supplies from the field to Zawiya terminal. The Sharara field, one of Libya's largest, has been a frequent target for local and broader political protests. The field, located in the Mosugu Basin in southeast Libya, is run by state oil firm NOC via the Associates company with Spain's Repsol, France's Total, Austria's OMV, and Norway's Equinor. Finally, the price of bread in Zimbabwe has increased recently, and bakers are attributing it to taxes mentioned in the 2024 national budget by Finance Minister Tolulope. Bakers previously sold bread for around 90 cents, but have now raised the price to $1. As a result, retailers and tuck shops have also hiked their prices from $1 to $1.20. Tuck shop owners believe the increase is due to higher toll gate fees from $2 to $4. These price increases on bread and other goods are a result of the taxes outlined in the national budget. It has become a challenge for both businesses and consumers as the cost of living continues to rise. That's it on African business headlines this morning. To start with, we have three conversations anyway, but we want to start with 2024 commodities outlook and what it means looking at the global community.
Africa is rising. Again, we hear our sounds echo on the other side. Afrobeat and Afropop reinvented, hip life brought back to life, new energy infused into Kwaito and Kwela. Africa is balling. Every stroke, every shot, every raise, we find our place at the top. Taking the helm of real power, new hopes for democracies. A breed of entrepreneurial tigers, audacious storytellers, and a promising generation raring to go. Truly, Africa is rising. And this is where the stories that define our continent live.
It's not just news to us. It's our voice and our story. It's our report. How we tell African stories for Africans. With detailed, timely and authentic reports. News Central is your home for true news and African stories. I am Omolola Ololade. This is News Central.
You're watching Business Edge on News Central Television. Before we x-ray the commodities outlook for the year 2024, let's quickly bring you this, and it's very, very important, most especially for Nigeria, and that is about the EFCC probing deeply into FX allocations in Nigeria. And according to reports, the opaque foreign exchange allocation mechanism, which characterized the nation's previous forex regimes, has now come to the front burner. Recently, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, wrote to over 80 companies, directing them to supply documents supporting the allocation and utilization of foreign currencies to them in the last 10 years. Now, News Central's Perpetua Fasimi Peter spoke to a market participant on this and filed in this report.
Over the past decade, Nigerians have continued to express fears that the nation's forex allocation process is fraught with favoritism. Many believe favored Nigerians and their foreign collaborators benefit massively from this.
While some companies are getting access to forex, most companies are not getting forex to transact their daily businesses. And it's been one story after the other. To some, it's been that there's round tripping. Some are collecting this dollar even directly from CBN, which is not supposed to be, and selling it to the black market without using it for any business purpose. To some, they are collecting forex, presenting documents that are relevant for the collection of forex, but at the end of the exercise, they are not using the forex also. They are using it for other purposes, particularly selling it. We also have another group of organizations that collect far more than the forex they need for their business transaction, for their import purposes. And when they get more of these currencies, they also end up selling it to the black market.
Sadly, the implication of such favoritism, if any, is better imagined.
The effects have been monumental, negatively monumental. First is that investors lose confidence in the country. The other to it is that companies will continue to close shops as they are doing now. A lot of big corporate conglomerates have left the shores of the country. It begins to now cause unnecessary inflation. Inflation that could have been curbed are being allowed to go on and on and on with this round tripping going around the forex market.
Just like many Nigerians, Dr. Egbeshola hopes the recent move by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission will yield the needed result.
If we have unavailability of forex, the little we have should be able to go around to all of those that need it. Not that a very few select ones will have access to it, and the majority will continue to suffer at the detriment of all of us who are citizens of this country. And that's not how an economy of a country can grow. It should be nipped in the bud. I am happy that some of us have been shouting about this over time and time again, and we are bringing it up now. And we're also seeing some agencies of government going around to see if truly this is happening. And perhaps we are looking forward to a time where serious punitive measures will be meted out to those who are carrying out this crime against all of us in Nigeria.
Over the years, Nigeria has been an import-dependent economy with a growing demand for foreign exchange. The scarcity of this, coupled with the now collapsed multiple exchange rates and the opaque nature of forex allocation, has ensured that favored customers of banks could access the greenback at the official rate at any time, leaving others scrambling and the economy gasping for breath. Recent efforts to shine a light on this murky system could serve as a powerful deterrent, signaling a potential shift towards a more transparent and equitable playing field. In Lagos, for News Central, I am Perpetua Fasami-Peter.
And sequel to that, operatives of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission last week also visited the headquarters of the Dangote Group in connection with ongoing investigation into forex allocations in the country. To help us make sense of this, Femi Oladeyin, senior partner, Argentile Capital Partners, joins me on the show. Thank you so much, Oladeyin, for talking to us at this time.
Hi, good morning. Good to be here.
Now, foreign exchange allocations in Nigeria involve the appropriation of forex for various purposes within the country, and it is legal, including the Central Bank of Nigeria is the one mandated to manage the processes and activities on the market, ensuring that allocations are in line with the country's goals. So to start with, what are the criteria for obtaining forex, either as an individual or a business entity? And why is it that now it seems as though we are hearing reports of infractions by companies in Nigeria when it comes to accessing forex?
So the process for obtaining forex is basically people who need forex would approach their banks with specific documentation. Now, it depends on what you need the forex for. So if it's for imports, you would fill it from M. If it's for invisible trade, you would fill it from A. And all of these would then go to the central bank, and the central bank would, through an approval system, approve who is supposed to get or who is qualified to receive FX. Now, one of the things